On the telephone line, we welcome in legendary guitarist, vocalist of the American rock band Vanilla Fudge. We welcome in guitar icon Vince Martell. Vince, Brian C., thanks so much for being on the program.
Yeah, you got it, Brian. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Honor to have you, Vince. Vince, you're originally a Bronx, New York guy. Please tell us how your love for music and your love for the guitar first began.
Well, I grew up in a Italian household with music playing all the time, and my folks played music. My father played some violin and guitar. My mother played guitar and mandolin. My sister took a lot of piano lessons, did a lot of classical piano. And I grew up hearing music, so it was like a natural for me. In fact, when I was a kid, I thought everybody was playing music. But as I got a little older there, went along, I noticed that it was more unusual that we had such a musical family. So I was around it all the time.
Now, way back when you first began, who were some of your music idols? Who did you look up to?
Well, I guess the ones that really started stirring me up was when Ronnie Mack, great guitarist, Link Ray, Dwayne Eddy, Chuck Berry, all the guys. When the rock things hit is when I really started getting interested. Before that, I had taken a few lessons and everything, but rock wasn't really making a heavy impact at that point. It was just starting out. So once I got into the rock bug, that was it. Then I really got into it. But I had joined the Navy at 17. And whatever I heard, on the radio, I could play. So I ended up playing on the ship all over the place. That's what happened. It's just been in music my whole life. Gravitated into it and, went from there.
So, like being in the Navy, was that the first inkling that came to your mind that you can do this for a living and be successful at it?
No, I wouldn't say it first came into my mind. I was already, thinking of doing music all the time. I just, I went into the Navy just for to get actually away from the neighborhood. A lot of guys I was hanging out with starting to get in trouble, stealing cars and whatever. And it's like if you hang out with that next thing, it's easy to get into that, for fun, for laughs, whatever. And it's not the right road to go down. But no, I basically enjoyed rock and rolling. And when I was in the Navy, actually, when I got out, I was in the Cuban crisis. And when I got out, And when I got out, a couple of the bands outside the base in Norfolk, Virginia, wanted me to join. One band wanted me to join the band and say, but I want to get out of the Navy town after 3 years and 10 months of that. So I came back to New York, then I went to Florida. It's a whole big thing. I could keep on talking if you want.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you my next question. Your teenage years, you moved to Florida and worked with a few bands, right? What was the first recognized band you performed in or with?
Well, it was actually Ricky T and the Satins 3. And what it was is this is after the Navy, after I came out of the Navy, I went back to New York. My folks were moving back down to Florida. Hollywood, Florida. They ended up buying a house, and then in Fort Lauderdale. Then they wanted to move back, but I was already getting into some bands, so I got into that. I also got into a band called The Bondsmen, which we did the Eden Rock Hotel, and actually backed up Bobby Vinton there for a stint, and he was at the Eden Rock on Collins Avenue, big, it's Rodeo Drive of Florida, of Miami. And but then I knocked around with a couple of bands, and I ended up playing with the Satins 4, and then we went to Key West. We played down there. We played the Southern Florida Circuit, and that's it. After about a year and a half of that, the band broke up. One of the guys got married and was going to go to jail if he didn't start supporting his wife instead of playing music, so that kind of put a damper on the thing. I came back to New York. I was ready for a change, and that's how I ended up getting into the Pigeons, which became the Vanilla Fudge.
Okay, so now, when was the first time you met Carmine Appice? We had Carmine Appice on the show. When did you guys meet for the first time?
After about 8 months of being in the Pigeons, when I came up from Florida, I had cards made. I ended up getting a call from a guy named Joey Brennan, who was with Mark Stein and Tim Bogert. We got together. We played. We did about 8 months as the Pigeons did a recording. We got that name from a guy named Jeff Barry, a mogul in the music business, worked with Luther Dixon, Charlie and Inez Fox. And then Timmy saw Carmine playing a place called the Choo Choo Club, where the Rascals started in Jersey, in Lodi, New Jersey, the local big spot back at that time next to the train tracks. It was called the Choo Choo Club. And he liked his foot and, his funky style. So they wanted to get into a different direction, so we ended up getting Carmine. And so then it was Mark Stein, Tim Bogert, me, and that's when we got Carmine a piece. So that was 8 months after we got started. I guess this had to be mid '66.
Mid '66. Now, in 1967, history has it, that was the year the Beatles released Sgt. Pepper Lonely Heart Band. Vanilla Fudge's first album rose to number 4 in the charts, right? Take us back to '67. How special was that year for you and the group?
That was our biggest year, actually. Yeah, when that happened, I got to mention that we had great management behind the scenes, the guys pulling the strings. We also had a great producer, George Shadow Morton, who worked with the Shangri-Las and Leader of the Pack and Janice Ian. And he got the most creativity out of us, and we just were hitting on all cylinders between the management, the producer, and the group. And we had been seeing what was going on the East Coast, the Vagrants, of which Leslie West came out of, Rich Kids Illusion. A bunch of Long Island groups were making noise and doing production on this and shows. So we had the show thing going, plus we had the business end going, the creativity end going. We were on Atco Records, which Atlantic owns, a subsidiary of Atlantic. And so we just had everything connected up wonderful. So that was our big thing, that first album. Also, I want to say that George Shadow Morton was good friends with Sonny and Cher. We had done Bang Bang, one of their tunes on that album, and a couple of, Beatle tunes, Eleanor Rigby, Ticket to Ride. So, it was just really great. Like I say, we did a song that... we did, about 7 songs on that first album. They all, took off. The whole thing took off.
Right, and that 67, and then a couple of years later, 69, Woodstock came into existence. Now, I heard that Vanilla Fudge was invited to play in Woodstock. I'm not sure if that's correct. Any stories you can share during that time?
Yeah, Woodstock, when it happened, our management was into what are they paying, and they weren't really coughing up a lot of bread, so they decided to bypass it. Who knew it was going to be the biggest thing of the century? But the night that it started, we were doing a gig with B.B. King and with Joe Cocker up in Connecticut. And B.B. King's band ran into a car problem. They couldn't show up for the show, so we ended up backing up B.B. King on his tunes. And I jammed with him on the stage, and Joe Cocker and me and Mark Stein had just bought our new 68 Corvettes for $6,000 each. And so we were going to head out to Woodstock for laughs after the gig, but the state police were saying, don't come up, it's too much traffic on the thruway. So we sped back to Long Island. But it was we were invited to play, and we should have done it, but in hindsight, but what are you going to do? That's life. Sometimes you choose something that you should have went in the other direction. Who knows,
Right. We're talking to legendary leading guitarist of Vanilla Fudge, Vince Martell. Vince, during the late 60s, early 70s, Vanilla Fudge pioneered that psychedelic symphonic rock sound, which attracted many fans. And I read, including a young Robert Plant was a big fan of your group. Is that correct?
Yeah, because when I first came to this country, Zeppelin, because right before that we had done a gig with the Yardbirds with Jimmy Page in Seattle, Washington, before he got Zeppelin together. But he went back to England and got Zeppelin together. they came over here. They wanted to break into the United States market, and our management, who was Concerts East, who was very big, gave them a break. So we let them come in, and they opened for us. And Robert Plant was, in awe. He said we were everything that they wanted to be. He's
that is something.
Yeah, right. That's pretty cool. It's like I said, we gave them a chance to open up for us because we were on the top at that point, and we did a bunch of gigs in the Northwest, actually, Seattle and Portland and Vancouver, Canada, and Salt Lake City, and that's it. In the meantime, they ended up, we ended up breaking up after that, which we shouldn't have done in 1970 in hindsight again, but they kept going. So the management, everything kind of got behind them, and with their management, and they kept on moving. But that's how it worked out.
And you mentioned 1970, the band broke up. Take us back to that time the band dismantled. Why did that happen? And did you have any concerns, if you recall, back that time, what you were going to do with your future?
Actually, we needed a break. You know what happens? These bands get together and you play so much, you're so together so long, you get on each other's nerves because you're all into a high intensity, creativity environment, and everybody's got their feelings strongly into what they're doing. You believe in what you're doing, and after a while, if you don't take a break from each other, it's like too much. So we were looking to take a break. So it worked out good. Carmine and Timmy wanted to go with Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart. I was looking for a break to get away from everything. I figured, let's take a couple of years off. And what happens is the way life is, it's unpredictable. So what happens is the next thing, instead of 2 years going by, like 42 years goes by, you know what I mean? But we did get together after that. So go ahead.
No, continue. Yeah, I mean, a long time, you guys are always traveling, so of course there's going to be a little friction.
Well, sure. That's natural, I think, because like I say, you're dealing with creative people, and everyone is, it's like when we first get in the car after we haven't done, because we did, in like the time we were together, 4 years, we did maybe 2 weeks off. That's the most time we had off from each other. The rest of the time it was always starting out, getting into the cars and driving to the gigs, then flying to the gigs. And after a while, when you first get in the car and you're heading to the airport, everybody's talking to each other, what you do the last couple of days, whatever. By the time you get to the airport, everybody's talked out. Now you're not talking again to each other. You got to take a break. You have to have a breather in there, and we kind of didn't do that. We kept going until finally we needed a real break. And so that's kind of what happened with that. But, we got together since then. 83, we did an album. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, we did an album in 1983. We got Atlantic Records interested in us again to do something. And then that worked out to be an album that came out. And then there were some problems with that, with the producer that we had. I got all, pretty detailed in my book, Psychedelic Solo, which anybody can get from vincemartell.com, my website, and I get into the details. But it ended up being some, negative stuff with the band happening. So that album came out, didn't make a lot of noise, and then after that, we got together back in the 90s after that, and then things started evening out. But we went through the whole gamut. We went to the lawyers suing each other, all that crazy stuff. We got, and now everybody's friends again. But that's, like I say, that's how life is sometimes. If you have to build the breaks in, the bands have to have a little breathing room and be able to discuss the difference of opinions and whatever. If you don't do that, then it starts going in different directions, and you got to get away from each other. Like,
now, I have a quick mix of some of your work, but before that, I just want to ask you a quick question about Jimi Hendrix. Did you play? You played with Jimi Hendrix?
We did a whole bunch of dates with Jimi Hendrix. We did 13 dates in a row. And the big one was the Red Rocks, Colorado, with Barry Fay was the promoter for that gig. And actually, we went over a little bit better than Jimmy did that night, and he was pretty aggravated about it. He wanted us off the tour after that, but we had heavy management. They got us on a tour, and we weren't going to get off the tour unless they agreed for us to get off, and they didn't want us to get off the tour. So we did 13 dates in a row. But I got to know him a little bit. I used to hang out at the Scene, Steve Paul's Scene on West 46th Street, New York City, off 8th Avenue. And I talked to Jimmy over there a couple of times, and he mentioned to me if the Fudge ever break up, let him know, which was pretty cool.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And after that night, that we were, a couple of nights that we were at the Scene, and Jimmy's jamming, and everybody wanted to jam with him. Jack Cassidy was there, Buddy Miles, I think Armand was for that one. Eddie Kramer was there, Jimmy's engineer, and he says, I got the keys to the record plant, let's go down there, we'll do some recording. This is like when the Scene is closing at 4 o'clock in the morning. So everybody,
right.
Everybody that's there, all the musicians, the groupies, everybody is hanging out. Everybody marches down to 44th Street to the record plant, and we go in there, and Eddie Kramer puts on these machines there, and Jimi Hendrix lets me open up the jam, whatever I want to do. So I got into like a slow blues thing and did some of that, and then Jimmy came in and started playing, and it became a whole jam. And who was smoking what, who was doing what, I never thought of getting a copy of that thing. So someplace in the stratosphere is a recording with Jimi Hendrix, me, and of all these other people that I'd love to hear at one time.
That's amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I want to play a quick mix of some of your work. Let's hear Vanilla Fudge. Vince Martell and Vanilla Fudge, you just heard. What comes to mind, Vince, when you hear those classic songs playing on the radio? It takes you back in time?
Yes, it does that. It's always it's always good to hear that stuff. We were on a creative road for a long time. That song, the second one you played, was Thoughts. It's a song I wrote. It went to number 6 in Italy, that particular song. And that's Mark Stein that you hear singing. And then right after that part that we heard, I come in with the bridge. Mark was basically the lead voice for the group, Mark Stein. And then it was, Timmy singing and myself singing. But that song, made some noise over there in Italy that was always enough because I got relatives. When we played in Italy, we won the Golden Gondola in Venice, and we were there. Telly Savalas, Domenico Modugno was there, the Elvis of France. We were one of the winners. It was a 3-day affair that was televised all over the place, but the United States didn't pick up the broadcasting rights for, I guess, some business reasons. So what that Venice thing was not shown here, but it was groups from Europe, South America, not groups, artists. We were the only rock and roll artist on that show. Everybody else came in with tails and tuxedos and orchestras, and we were like the hippies. We came up, and we ended up being one of the winners. But we had, like I say, our management had fantastic connections all over the place. So we represented the U.S., and we ended up being one of the winners. Golden Gondola in Venice. It all brings back memories whenever I hear this stuff.
Fascinating. Yeah, you're right. We played Thoughts. Another song we played was Shotgun, which was released in '69. Any thoughts on that classic hit, Shotgun?
Yeah, well, it was Timmy basically singing. I think Timmy and Mark did harmonies on that. We recorded a Shotgun at the Shrine in L.A. on our Near the Beginning album. And I used the wah-wah pedal on that, and I had a Gibson L5, which is a big fat guitar. It's like, like two humbuckers, regular electric guitar, but like an acoustic style body for people that don't know, and it gives you a big, beautiful round sound. And it was a great rocker, and I still get compliments on the wah-wah pedal stuff that I did at the beginning of that. And we did the break song also when we did that recording at the Shrine in L.A. So it was, again, it's just very cool. That's a real heavy rock. I still do that with my own rock band, Vince Martell Band, Rock Gold. I got a couple of bands that I still, rock out with. And everybody loves that song.
Amazing. And I don't want to leave out, we also played You Keep Me Hanging On, which included one of your most classic riffs of all time. It was ranked number 4 of all time, right, by Guitar Magazine. Is that correct?
Yes, back in the late 90s, I think 1995, yes, it was rated number 4, the heaviest riff of all time, beginning of Keep Me Hanging On, that raga style. And, so that was going around. The Beatles were into that. There was a lot of associations with that style. And I managed to get it recorded and got noticed for it. And, some guys were doing it. Like, it was just a beautiful new angle that caught on big time.
It's really epic stuff. And, I have a couple of minutes left. Let's talk about your website, vincemartell.com. You mentioned your book, Psychedelic Solo. What made you decide to write this book, Vince?
It's a funny story. I originally, was thinking of doing a book, I guess, for a long time because I had an interesting life growing up in the Bronx. And all, the Italian food and all this, big family. And then joining the Navy, and then playing music in Florida, and then coming up, and then getting into the Fudge. I decided, so I ended up talking to the guys about it, and I just had never really done it. So I got together. My wife mother was a writer. And so we ended up putting down all the different things that happened to me, and it's great. It's like I relived my life by doing this book. So that's that's why I wanted to do it. It's just it's a great thing. I talk about many aspects, a lot of details, the drug trips and the Fudge days, and it's just the drinking in the Navy, all the crazy stuff. So I just wanted to put it all down, and I'm really glad that I did it. It's called Psychedelic Solo. It's available on my website, vincemartell.com. And, I end up, it ends up with the Fudge. We played in Atlantic City with the Doors, and we did a big, beautiful concert. Alicia Keys was there. It was a big deal thing that we did I end up. But if somebody's interested, get a hold of me, and it's available.
And just a couple of more questions. The future work, what's ahead if we ever get past this crazy crisis? What's ahead for yourself, Vanilla Fudge, in the near future?
Well, there's a couple of things. By the way, if anybody wants to hear the last album, Out Through the Indoor, we did take off on Zeppelins into the outdoor, and we did all Zepp tunes. We have Timmy on it. So it's, before he passed away, we did this. This is a handful of years ago. We also, if anybody wants to check out the Immigrant Song, just put in Vanilla Fudge Immigrant Song, and you'll hear our take on the Immigrant Song, the original Vanilla Fudge's take. And we're talking about touring again and getting out there. We had a lot of gigs lined up, some cruises, had a bunch of things before the pandemic hit. So that put us up to everything for the moment. But we're looking to get out there again and do some more recording. And we also, before Timmy passed away, got him to do another song, which I won't name now. I don't know if they want to put it out there yet, the name of it, but it's a great R&B tune. And we got Tim Bogert on it playing bass, and he was like the best. It's so tasty, such a tasty bass player, beautiful. In fact, at some point, I think the record company were involved with Golden Robot, and might be that should be coming out shortly, maybe in this year. Hopefully, it's going to be ready to come out. So we're doing that, and then I have my own units that I also work with. Play all over the place when things are open. I'm open for playing for, we do things for the vets. It's just all kinds of stuff. Radio show. I've had a radio show. We had a lot of guests on it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just in a holding pattern at the moment, waiting for this thing to pass by. Hopefully it's going to, and get out there and continue, blowing people's minds.
Well, it's really an honor to have you. And, thank you so much for your service and for all the music you've given us through the decades. And anytime you want to come on, Vince, just send me an email. We'll put you on.
Jeez, Brian, thank you, man. I appreciate this very much. God bless you. We said a lot of prayers for Timmy, hoping he would, heal up. But, like he said to me one time, he said, the Lord is calling me home. So he knew that, so we asked the good Lord, Jesus, to heal him up and pray for him. But got to wait till we get to heaven, and then we'll hopefully be rocking and rolling up there forever.
Yeah, no question. May he rest in peace. We'll speak soon. Thanks so much. The website is vincemartell.com. The book is Psychedelic Solo. Thanks so much, Vince.
Thank you, Brian. God bless, brother.
You too, buddy.
Okay.
Until next week, happy collecting to all.